Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Pia Orlean, and I am pleased to offer an introduction for a webinar that Janet Hickox hosted called The 13th Sign of Orpheus. I was delighted to be invited to share my knowledge of the number 13 during this webinar, and Janet has graciously encouraged me to share this link with you so that you can see more about the information on the energy of 13. If you'd like to see the full video from the webinar, you can purchase it here. Enjoy the video and enjoy exploring number 13.
With Pia's profound understanding, I think, of the number 13, I'm hoping that she will be able to help guide us through this idea, through the story of how the sacred number 13 got cut, right? How did we do that? Why did we do that? And how can we reclaim the power of the divine feminine? Pia, welcome. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Delighted to be here. I want to say first and foremost that I have known there was something wrong with the idea that the number 13 is unlucky since I was in the 5th grade. When it first came to my attention, oh, Friday the 13th is an unlucky day. And I said, no, it's not. That's my lucky number. That's the perfect day. Also, I'd like to point out that I am Orpheus. That is my energy of when I was born in the new Zodiac you're designing. So I'm very much aligned with this. In fact, I did my entire dissertation for my PhD on the energy of 13 and the loss of the divine feminine by the patriarchal culture, which did everything it could to dismiss, diminish, and get rid of anything to do with feminine energy.
So let's start by talking about what was the significance of the number 13 in ancient cultures and how is it connected with divine feminine?
Well, in ancient cultures, women and men were considered equal, but women were the ones who made the decisions most of the time because they were more in harmony with nature, which is a really important thing. So women would gather together and have their own moon cycles whenever they were in alignment of bleeding with the moon in nature. And the moon has 13 cycles around the earth. And men always respected that as a holy time because women were the ones who bring forth life. They became a little unbalanced when men decided they wanted to take forth life and they wanted to give life too. And some of the men in Papua New Guinea began to do a practice of slitting their penises to drip blood into a bowl to emulate the women because they thought maybe they could bring forth life. That didn't really work.
Ouch.
And so that's all discussed in my PhD dissertation, so you can look at that if you want.
Is this your dissertation? Is this book based on that?
It is based on the
Okay.
dissertation. Yes, I was given a grant to write that book to get it out into the world because at that time, 25 years ago, I was getting outside of the box. And that's what I'm still trying to do is get people to think outside of the box. But the basis of it falling apart is the fact that the patriarchy decided women are the ones who bring forth life, and we don't like that. We want to be in control. We want to say who lives and who doesn't. So therefore, we're going to make women and anything to do with 13 be unlucky. So in 1562, they created a calendar that's based on 12 hours in a day, which is a complete cutoff from nature because the clock and the calendar, they start at 12 midnight, which is not in alignment with nature, and 12 months out of the year rather than the 13 aligned with the moon, and they completely changed everything. So this thing that we think is very traditional is not traditional at all, actually. It's a coup that was caused by the patriarchy because they were jealous of the women's power rather than co-creating and working with the women and recognizing the divine masculine is just as important. It just has a different role. So that's sort of how we got off track. And to implement that even more, the church jumped in and decided that they would make women lesser subjects. And since that time, religion has looked up to men, looked up to God as a man, looked up to anything masculine as the one in charge, the head of the house, the one that makes the decisions, and basically said women need to be barefoot and pregnant. So that's the state of affairs.
Sort of echoed in the vice president of the USA at this moment in time. So let's go back a little bit. Let's walk through those ancient times. And what was the world like when 13 was honored and included in people's lives, when it wasn't feared, when it wasn't thought of as in disdained kind of energies?
Well, from the beginning, they were very much in harmony with all the seasons. And they began the celebration of the new year every spring at equinox because that's logical. That's when the earth recognizes spring, at least in the northern hemisphere. And so their sense of timing for planting, for celebrating, whatever they did, was based upon spring energy as being the start of the new year. That was completely obliterated with the 1562 start of the calendar saying, no, we're going to bring it back to January. And furthermore, we're going to take the birth of Christ, which is our religious symbol, and we're going to change it from the spring when it was supposed to be back into a date that reflects an older pagan holiday around solstice. So we're going to juggle everything up and mix everything up, which completely threw people out of harmony with the seasons. Now,
So for over 500 years, we have been out of harmony.
completely. And
Hmm.
you're talking about re-envisioning a calendar to bring back in the spring equinox as the beginning, the focus upon the energy of 13. We've been doing that for the last 6 or 7 years with the Pleiadian-earth energy calendar, which is superimposed on the Gregorian calendar so that people can see the energy of the 13-day periods on the Gregorian 12-month calendar, introducing them into the shift, getting them back into the harmony. The thing that's special about the Pleiadian Earth Energy Calendar, which aligns with what you're trying to do, Janet, is that the Pleiadian Earth Energy Calendar is based on nature. Energies don't change at midnight. The energies change at sunset. When the sunset goes down, you let go of the energy of the previous day and you prepare to step into the energies that are arriving. And so you're with those energies until the following sunset. And the 13-day periods are a reflection of the 13 months that we're missing. So when we get back to 13 months, we will have that in place. One more thing I'd like to add to that, but you have a question first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it isn't possible to superimpose the Pleiadian calendar and start it at March 31st or 21st, excuse me, or what would be 0 degrees Aries, the beginning of the vernal equinox, and then bring that vision that you all have in alignment with the astrological year as well. I don't see why we couldn't.
Well, we
Is there?
can.
Yeah.
There's no reason why we can't. We just have to join together and do it and stop buying 12-month calendars, saying, no, we're not playing by this, set our schedules by the new calendar and step into a parallel way of living that honors the 13 cycles of the moon, the 13 cycles that women have biologically, the energy of integration. The second book that Cullen and I wrote was the Pleiadian Earth Energy Astrology book, which brings in the meaning of the number of 13 and why it was so important with women's understanding of how to help bring discussions into a richer and deeper understanding of the natural order of our place in the universe. Because 13 is about integration. If we stop everything at 12, we're missing the step of integration. We go from start to finish without a breath, without a space to integrate what we've learned. The number 13, the energy of 13, is about reflection on what were the first 12 days bringing us. One is new beginnings. Two is duality, looking at opposite perspectives. Three is the energy of creativity. Four is creating a foundation. Five is what do we need to change? Six is how do we flow through our challenges? Seven is let's merge with the cosmos and with nature, merging. Eight is how do we connect with each other and create a sense of abundance for our communities? Nine is what do we do to bring in harmony? 10 is a challenge point. It's either are we manifesting what we know from the first nine, or are we facing challenges because we're resistant and we're stuck? So we have a choice, manifest something better or face a challenge. That's 10. 11 is bringing in more light for clarity, and 12 is a deeper level of understanding. And then we reach 13. Take a breath, pause, integrate, reflect on the previous 12 days in that 13th day, and be ready to start again.
It just
That's what we
feels, yeah, that's what we need, but and we have that. We have those tools. It's not like they're missing. We've just like ignored them or lost them in our everyday life. And it's up to us if we want that back. If we want to reintegrate that divine feminine, we want that, connection with nature and the rhythmic cycles of life. It's up to us to bring it back.
It is. And one thing that needs to be recognized and honored, which was recognized and honored in ancient days, is the divine feminine exists within each gender. Even though
Yes.
women are the life givers and they're the ones who bring forth life, we can't have that life without the men. So women and men both carry divine feminine energy and divine masculine energy. And it's been out of balance for so long, it's time we realign them together in harmony and bring it back.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to bring up one other thing that I don't think many people know about yet. I've written about it in the AA Journal for the UK. It'll be coming out in January. But I'm writing about the fact that the patriarchy has stuck its foot or its toe into something that's going to make massive change in aligning with the divine feminine energy of integration without fully understanding what they're doing. The United Nations has proposed a 13-month calendar, and they're doing it for better time management. But what they don't recognize is it's not about time at all. The number 13 is about energy and integration. So once we move in the direction of a 13-month calendar, we can take over what they're trying to institute by saying, well, good idea to use 13, but let's tweak it to align with the seasons and let's
Yep.
set it up and start in March. So there is a force in the cosmos that is pushing and undermining the patriarchal subversion of women and the divine feminine for all these years, going, maybe we should do something a little different, even though their reasons are not in harmony with the truth. So,
What I think is so funny, Pia, is that you use the words like they're dipping their toe into it. And when
mhm.
we talk about Ophiuchus, it is his toe that it is his, foot in, maybe up to his ankle that has dipped into the ecliptic plane that is the cause of all of this, right? I am so certain that this is a cosmic calling card, and it's just funny that you use the term dipping their toe into it. They think they're changing it for better time management, which is such a masculine way of looking of maybe even justifying making that kind of change. But what they don't understand is that they're empowering this whole idea of the divine feminine. They just don't know yet what they've done or what
Right,
they are soon to do. And
right,
you know what? We're not saying uh, erase the divine masculine. I want that to be pretty clear, right? Because there were times in history where it was a matriarchal culture that gave way to a patriarchal culture. I think we need a new conversation about what a balanced masculine and feminine would look like and what would we call it, right? What
mhm,
would that be? And so these conversations need to be, fleshed out. They need to be had without the derision that sometimes comes from people who are stuck in the astrological systems or in any other system that, wants to always keep it the same. We have to change. Well, I guess one way that we can restore the rightful place of 13 and to empower the divine feminine is to start with the calendar, right? To start
yes,
looking at how we count time and make
yes,
it become much more in rhythm and in a cyclical sort of nature. Um, and have these kinds of conversations where like I feel like I'm, fairly intelligent. I had no idea. I had no idea. I would say the alpha and the omega is what, is Aries and Pisces, right? Alpha, omega, but not true, right?
nope.
So, wow, 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 wow. So, is there anything else you want to add to this? I know it's late where you are, and I want to get you off to bed as soon as possible, but I
Okay.
also know that you might have something else you want to share.
I just want to share that I'm so excited people are interested in this topic and that it's time we move forward in doing things in a parallel way. We have been trying for years to get people to get out of their heads and into their hearts. And when you get into your heart, you feel the energy of this shift. And that's where the inspired ideas come from, is from our heart. And if we get together in our hearts, we will know what kind of conversations need to take place and what actions need to happen. So move into your hearts and out of your heads. Let go of the old belief systems, the old constructs that are governed by time, and move into the flow of the beautiful energy that we are joining.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Those are such great words. And by the way, in your Thrive Cart course that you all have gone to get the link for today's show or webinar, is a resource page that holds the links to Pia's website where you can get either one or both of these books, The Sacred Retreat, which I just got yesterday, so I didn't even get a chance myself to read through the things that I wanted to read through, and the Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology, which, I've played with a lot, so it has a lot of marking. Get them, right? If you want to continue the conversation and educate yourself on what those things look like.
There's
Pia?
also a 25 calendar available on the website, so you can begin to look at how to play with energy if you don't already have one. And if you're interested about your own energy from the Pleiadian Earth Energy perspective, including your karmic patterns and your gifts, that's available through a Pleiadian Earth Energy chart. So there's lots of options of exploring this so that your heart can speak to what you need to discover next.
Right. And the website for you to go to, is it your Pia Orlean website or Lark Pia?
PiaOrlean.com. You
So
can
it's
also
W.
find you can also find it on lartma.com. It's on both.
Okay, so I'm actually going to put this in here, www.piaorlean.com or www.LAARKA,
MAA,
oh, MAA dot
MAA.com.
com. Okay, there you guys
All
go. It's
those are
in the
available.
chat.
Thank
That's
you,
where you can get
everybody.
books.
It's been
Um,
wonderful and exciting sharing it with you all. I appreciate it, and I know you're going to enjoy the rest of Janet's webinar. Thank you for the opportunity to participate.
oh, thank you, Pia, and I so appreciate you.